We all know Devontae Adams was traded to the Raiders. What the fuck are the Packers going to do? Wow. Welcome back to the Leisgang Lounge. The number one, I don't know about that, but it's a very good podcast nevertheless. The first podcast was recorded back in January, so it's very irrelevant. It's just basically a pre-episode to this episode. I'd like to talk about myself for a little bit. I was born and raised in Holman, Wisconsin, a small town in Wisconsin, bordering Minnesota and closer to Iowa. Please do not grab my social security number now. I was born August 6th of 2003. I've been born and raised in a very small town, and not even really raised. I'll get to that here soon. Just start off, I'll talk about my family. My mom and my dad, they both got separated when I was at a young age, so it was very sad. My mom moved to Michigan, and every other weekend I would go up there, drive about, it's about 300 miles there and back, so about 600 miles every other weekend, which was a total about 10 hours. So every other weekend, 10 hours, I spent nearly a whole day's worth of my time per month in a car. So I have a lot of experience with driving, so maybe I should become an Uber driver or something like that. My dad, he is an alcoholic. I haven't reached out to him in a very long time because of that reason. And there's a lot of other reasons that I may have to get into in another episode, more deep down. Only my friends and part of my family knows why. And my mom, she also drinks, but she has it at a rate where it's not unhealthy. She drinks at home. She's responsible with it. There are some things that I need to talk to her about. I think that's just, I think we all should have some conversations with our parents about some stuff that they do that might not be the right thing, even though that they might be high in age doesn't mean that they know everything. And I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm just a nearly 19-year-old boy, who's just trying to make his voice heard. But like I said, I'm nearly 19. I am a college student at Western Technical College in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't for a specific person. And you're probably like, Jacob, who's this person? A lot of people know who I'm talking about. My friends, my family, the person, they know. It's a different episode to talk about, but it's an ex. I think that getting that experience in that time frame really changed who I was as a person. In September and October of 2021, I was very lazy. I did have depression. I still do. It's just not like a seasonal thing. And I was really low, and she brought me up, kind of like dusted off my shoulders, got me back up on my feet, and kind of like helped push me to go in college, and move out of my father's house. So thankful for that experience, and I always will be grateful. I don't care what other people say. If they don't like that, I still appreciate my ex and respect her. I'm very humble. I try to become the most humble person on planet Earth. I always try to think of other people as well as not only myself. Like I said, with my family, it's kind of a really separated thing on my father's side. We wouldn't have family get-togethers. It was just my father and I, and once in a while, one of my aunts. It was unfortunate, but I think that did alter how I'm kind of like coping with the family on my mom's side. I'm not very vocal. I like being alone because that's all I knew. Talking a little bit about my future plans. My future plan is to, of course, get an associate's degree in physical therapy, but a physical therapy assistant. That's an associate's degree, surprisingly. And there's a 2-year waiting time for that. Right now I'm doing my basics for it. And then in that 2-year wait time, I'm going to be moving to Portland, Oregon to kind of feel for different cultures and just have a wild time, while I'm still a kid and I can still have the opportunity to go there without any repercussions, except financial repercussions and not mental repercussions. Let's talk a little bit about my life experiences since about April. And I want to just elaborate that it is so important. I mean, so important to just have alone time and focus on yourself. I always relied on people for happiness, and that's why a lot of my problems did occur. My dad would make promises that he wouldn't keep. He'd tell me white lies, and he always said that white lies are the best lies. But honestly, they're the worst lies. He would say that we'd do something and he wouldn't do it. He'd say he'd show up to my football games and oh my goodness gracious, and he would show up, in the fourth quarter. I respect him. He took out a mortgage on the house for me to actually live. But there's a lot of other underlining things, small things that do add up, that made my decision coherent. I can't really get into it because it's such a huge thing, and it would take so much time to even just talk about it. Some life experiences that I've had since April. It's been crazy. I've been really, really lonely since April, but I think I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I really matured as a person, and I'm still immature as hell, so I don't know what I was before, but the way that I can express myself and the way that I can be alone and still be happy, it really makes me happy. Sometimes I wonder, if I never got into that previous relationship that I was just previously talking about, where I'd be at in life. So, relationships are supposed to give you experience definitely at this age. If I was 35 and I was talking the way I was, then it would be different. But I'm an 18-year-old boy. Come on. As an 18-year-old boy, I think I know a little bit, just a tad bit. Always working on yourself is the best trait that someone could always have. Being selfish in a positive way instead of a negative way. What I mean by that is, if you're selfish, let's just say you're with your girlfriend and she's like, oh, let's go get ice cream, and you're like, I don't really want to. That is very selfish. A good selfish should be like, hey, I need this day to work on myself to get my mental health better. That's why there's like mental health days. You call into work and you're like, oh, I need a mental health day. So with that, talking about work, going from experiences and stuff like that to work, I do work at a quick trip distribution center on the weekends. But I am reducing my hours because it's really hard labor. I do Doordash the majority of the time. It's nearly a whole job. I call it a side hustle job. I go out there for 12 hours and I come back with $350. It is crazy. Honest thoughts on Doordash. Well, at the end of the year, when taxes come, you're going to get fucked. Come on, I'm going to be fucked too. So that you need to save your money accordingly. You can't just rely on Doordash. You need another source of income. That's just proven. Something that takes taxes out so then you can get a refund. That could probably help at the end of the year. Is it really all worth it in the end, putting that much damage and wear and tear on your vehicle? If you have a newer car, like past 2005, I think it's definitely worth it. If it's before 2005 and your car's already in fucking shambles and rust, it's not worth it. You probably could get about 1,000 miles and that thing will fucking just break. So you really have to put things in consideration. You really have to just think like a vehicle when you're door dashing. Don't take 17-mile orders for $5. But if it was a $20 order for 17 miles, I'd definitely do it. And that's a whole thing there. DoorDash is a great way to help with financial stability and stuff like that, especially with the recession that's going to be happening soon. We already can tell it's going to happen. DoorDash cannot fire me. So it's in the rule book. They cannot fire me even if there's a recession. They can't reduce my hours. I'm self-employed. So that's a great thing. So that's something I get to lean on if there were to be a recession. So it's kind of like a safety blanket in a sense. So to wrap it up, it's a little bit of a shorter podcast. I apologize, but we got some good podcasts coming up. I confirmed that I have a podcast with one of my old friends, Ethan Davis. He is he's a part of the Air Force. He's going to talk about his hardships with the Air Force, his life compared to what he was as a civilian, and his job and what he's going to be doing and where he's based right now. And it's going to be such a great podcast, and I cannot wait to ask questions and have him ask me questions and just kind of catch up. But before we end it, let's talk a little bit about sports, about a 60-second or maybe a minute and a half so about sports. So the Green Bay Packers, let's look at the Green Bay Packers for a second. We all know Davante Adams was traded to the Raiders. What the fuck are the Packers going to do? That's what a lot of people are thinking. Look, we have Amari Rodgers. He's going to be progressing at a year 2. We have Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb. We have that Dobbs kid, bro. Watson. I think his name's Christian Watson. He was a second-round pick. He's fast as hell. We have Sammy Watkins. We have so many opportunities and just spread the ball. We have really good, decent players, and we're already looking in free agency with John Brown, I believe his name is. So I cannot wait to talk more about sports. It's a really big part of my life, talking about like fantasy football and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed the podcast. I'm really enjoying it. It's a good way to just like kind of talk. So make sure to subscribe if you made it this far. I appreciate you guys listening and tuning in. This was the Leisgang Lounge, and make sure to have a good day.